Hi, I'm Owen Crew, and I'd like to thank you for watching this short message. On Friday, September 18, the United States lost an accomplished woman with a long life of public service, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If any of her family or friends are watching this video, I want to offer my condolences and say that I'm praying for you in this time of grief. For those who worked with her or loved and admired her from a distance, my sympathy goes out to you as well. This is a difficult time for mourning. Justice Ginsburg's passing has left our nation with a new crisis in addition to the formidable crises we were already facing. This is why I say it's difficult to mourn, because instead of having time for mutual support and reflection, Americans have been immediately thrust into a situation that calls for action and puts them at odds with each other. Ginsburg was not only a jurist, but an advocate for social movements and a political symbol. If there was any doubt on who should select her replacement, Ginsburg did what she could to remove it by a statement dictated to her granddaughter, Clara Spera. My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed. Ms. Spera's statement appeared in an NPR article after Senate Leader Mitch McConnell included in his condolences a reiteration of his pledge that President Trump's nominee would receive a vote on the Senate floor. From the Ginsburg allies I have heard online, the response has been what we might expect. Shock that Ginsburg is gone before the election and so close to it. Offense at being drawn into a fight on the very day of Ginsburg's death. Indignation at the continued determination of Republican officials to move forward with nomination and confirmation before the year is over. And resolution to push for the fulfillment of Ginsburg's wish and for retaliation if that fails. The most moderate arguments claim moral or legal high ground against Republican leadership in the White House and Senate, and the mood is as though a deceased friend or family member had been insulted and her will torn up. On the other side, the culture that remains of respect for ideological opponents and for the recently departed is in tension with reluctance to honor a request from a departed opponent that seems at first glance to be a political attack inappropriate for a judge, let alone a Supreme Court justice. Rather than facing a simple choice between finding something nice to say about Ginsburg or remaining silent, Ginsburg's erstwhile detractors are immediately being asked by a former opponent to re-examine a choice that they believe to be supported by law, precedent, and prudence. Not everyone is clear on who's being hypocritical about what, but no one trusts the other side to be fair or reliable judges of moral and legal questions. Everyone is distracted from the difficult corporate task of respecting a fallen ideological opponent by a sudden renewal of the familiar fights over policy and process. Ginsburg family and friends appear to be foes with an axe to grind, rather than members of the community in need of sympathy and comfort. Mourning is difficult, then. Mourning should have hope. It should heal instead of wound. It needs to bring people together rather than drive them apart. It could lead people to depend on others rather than reflexively oppose them. Mourning should lead to reflection and prayer. Mourning is never easy, but it is more challenging than usual in this situation because of the political circumstances. Without the right kind of mourning, political action will be ineffective or harmful. One thing we cannot do is delay a discussion of what Justice Ginsburg intended and of what we will do about it. Her request was very clear and specific, and she would certainly expect her family and friends to do what they can to fulfill its letter and spirit. The rest of us can hardly expect them to do otherwise. One need not agree with her controversial views on law and politics to feel sympathy with individuals who reasonably feel a responsibility to fulfill her wishes. On the other hand, I would encourage others like myself, who had deep differences with Ginsburg on legal and moral issues, to try to help her followers understand what they can expect from us. For myself, I feel it is most fair and charitable to view the justice as morally, intellectually, and socially complex. She may have had multiple reasons for her request. There are a number of possibilities we could explore, but let's start with one concern she may have had that would be legitimate. Perhaps she felt that one or both parties were likely to do serious damage to the constitutional order if the confirmation process did not reflect the outcome of the presidential election. This is a concern that's likely to be shared by people across the political spectrum. People across this political spectrum are likely to strongly prefer that a replacement be delayed at least until after the election for that reason. In this case, people like myself might be inclined to help fulfill the letter or spirit of Ginsburg's request, though we may not agree with all of her reasons. On the other hand, it is very likely that she wanted the Republicans to delay confirmation regardless of what Democrats do or say. And it's worth noting here that Democrats could say and have said offensive and threatening things. Again, if that's how she felt, I'm under no obligation to agree or to support her wishes. It's less likely, but still plausible, that she intended to imply that the current president should not replace her regardless of whether he's reelected or not. If she did mean to imply that, I and others are under no obligation to agree or to help prevent Trump from ever replacing Ginsburg. I'm not saying she did intend that, but it wouldn't matter if she did. If people can begin to establish reasonable expectations on how to interpret and act on Justice Ginsburg's request, perhaps we can turn the heat down a bit and create space for people to grieve. In that spirit, I'm collecting signatures for a petition to both Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, asking them to work together, resolve their differences, and fulfill Justice Ginsburg's request. I'd like to ask you to please share and sign and share the petition. I'm going to include a link in the comments. So tell me, what do you think? Do you agree that it's harder to mourn for Justice Ginsburg because of the controversy surrounding her replacement? And if you do, what do you plan to do about it?